Cool, they got one of those cool cup juice. Cool cup juice.
That'll be $15.
Don't worry about it. I got you. And don't forget, God got us out. You welcome. I was the bridge to y'all problems, but y'all took me for granted. We traumatized in the hood, dog. Look at the damage. I've been grinding my whole life. I ain't nothing like you. It's 24 hours in a day. You ain't got nothing to do. I sacrificed my show money just to bring y'all around. Y'all was holding me back instead of holding me down. Y'all be talking behind my back, but in my face, you my brother. But you'll never know my pain until you lose your mother. This whole industry is fake. I wish we spent more time. I blew the brains out the coop. That mean I lost my mind. My reality is I can dictate my salary. Think about it. Only bad came to those who challenged me. Yeah, Jesus walks and Jesus wept. He walking with me. I see the steps. The pandemic came. We barely made it through. I'm a living testimony of what God can. When your pockets get low and your bills stacking up, and the hours that you put in, it ain't add up. God got us all, man. God got us all. Look up in there. I done that. The battle with the devil, I won that. 'Cause God got us all. God got us all. To all the people in Jackson, Mississippi with bad water, I just sent a truckload of clean H2O. God got us when it feel like adversity start to win. They say when you rap about God, it take away from your spins. Okay, well I hope it take away from my sins. I'm signed to me, so my whole record label go win. One of my partners going through it, I'm gonna show them the way. And when I help, this ain't the type of stuff I throw in your face. I got a gift they love flip, cause I done carried the cross. I'm watching out for Jezebels trying to marry the boss. My granny had me in the church, I praise God for work. And I don't claim to be perfect, I still get my dirt. Yeah, Jesus walks and Jesus loves. Put the guns down, you need a hug. Protect your mental health, that bring inner wealth. God protect me from these demons. I need you. When your pockets get low and your bills stacking up, and the hours that you put in, it ain't add up. God got us all, man. God got us all. Look up in there, I done that. The battle with the devil, I won that. 'Cause God got us all. God got us all. I know he got us.
What's that, Instagram? You're out over there. No more, no show up tomorrow. You get your check on Friday. That's it.
Every day, every way, God's got us all. Oh, yeah. I know he got us all. Oh. Each and every day, I know he got us all.
Yeah. What up? You already know what it is, man. It's the man about town. Virgil Berry, a.k.a. Stacks with the facts. And y'all know y'all tuned in to another episode of a Real Talk podcast on a Sunday night. Sunday, you know, Spiritual Root Sundays in the building, you know. And we about to get straight to it. Pops, what's good with you, man?
Oh, all right, son. All right. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing beautiful, man. Go ahead and talk to the people while I finish taking care of what I'm doing in the background, man.
All right. Good evening, YouTube family. How we all doing out there this evening? I hope everybody had a blessed week. I hope everybody was able to make their wishes and their dreams come true. I hope your evening was all right. Your this past week was all right. So far this year has been all right for you. We tuning in to another podcast of Spiritual Sunday. Last week we did about a virtuous woman. I was talking to my son and I told him, I said, let's try to do something a little bit more on the man to keep the balance going. So we're going to get into the night a little bit about, the roots of Adam, the first man, you know. Uh, I told my son, I said, I think that we should try to keep it balanced out, you know, and so the women don't think that we just so hard on them, you know, but also, you know, uh, bring out a little bit more insight to the men, you know. Seeing that Adam was the first man, I wanted to give my son a compliment on how he does his graphic works, you know, with our podcast as far as letting us know and see whatever the topic is going to be. He always come up with the right artistic artwork, you know, and representing our podcasters topics and messages, you know, and I thank him for that, you know, because it just goes right in with what we be discussing about, you know. So I think that also helps draws people into the podcast when they see, you know, the graphic artwork of what we representing, you know, along with the topic that what we're talking about. You know, I noticed that that has an effect on having people interested in seeing what our topic is about. So shout out go to him for that, you know, for his artistic, you know, ability and creativity on how he brings it together. We are going to talk about Adam tonight. I was just led to just give an insight to give a little bit more information on Adam the man, you know, and basically to let us men know who we are, you know, that our first earthly father, you know, what he was about, you know, uh, what he contributed to where we are at today, you know, on the good side of it and on the negative side of it, you know. But for hopefully that it'll wake men up a little bit more about who they are, you know, not just what they are, but who they are, you know. So I was telling my son, I said, let's do that about Adam, you know. And I think that for the best of it, that if we know more about who we are, and I'm speaking to the men right now out there in YouTube land, if we know more about who we are, I think that we'll begin to start waking up a little bit more and getting back into our role that we're supposed to be in as being the man, not just the man, but the man and a man, you know. So that's why my topic is going to be hitting on us tonight, you know. So, like I said, if it relates to you, my fellow man out there, then say amen. If I step on your toes and if it hurts you a little bit, then just holler ouch. But we're going to move along anyway, and we're going to try to get a little bit more understanding of what's going on with us, okay? Now, when you go to Genesis 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, a lot of people, when they read that, first of all, they say heavens. And I think week before last, we started out with the podcast about the spiritual and the natural realm. And God only started out with one heaven, you know, and how that after the creation, how he begins to unfold and manifest his creation, that he came into being three heavens. But it originally started out when he created the heaven and the earth. It was one singular heaven and one singular earth. Just a footnote there for those who sometimes they'll misread the scriptures, you know, and when you misread the scriptures, it'll throw you off altogether, you know, on what the basic word is really getting across the saying. So the spiritual roots of Adam, he's the first man, he's the first of his kind. And to get into a little bit more background, we're gonna also extend a little bit about the understanding of the garden, okay, and of creation, because this is where all this took place at. Now I'm getting ready to go a little deeper into the rabbit hole again as usual, and I'm getting ready to open up some revelation to some things that I even discovered and found out myself as I began to do study on this topic right here about Adam. Okay, is that when God made the Garden of Eden, he was making it especially with Adam in mind and for Adam. It wasn't just something like the way the theologians have it, yeah, I mean, because it just make it sound like as just a storybook, where God created the heavens and the earth and such, da, and the Garden of Eden, and they put a storyline to it more so than actually the reality of actually what was going on when God was doing all this. And when I began to study this, it kind of blew me away because, like I said, you know, God, he does everything with the intentions on knowing the outcome of it. And he does everything from the beginning, knowing what he's doing and the reason and the purpose why. So when he made the Garden of Eden, he was making it with Adam in mind anyway. Remember that I told you and my son that God, he called those things to be not as though they already were or are to him. He don't have to wait for him to actually manifest before he actually says it or speak it to be whatever it is that he wanted it to be. But this is the same thing that he does and what he did in the beginning when he created the heaven and the earth. All right. And then when he made the Garden of Eden. Now, the Garden of Eden was simply a location of a particular place on the earth once dry land appeared. Now, I say that now because I'm getting ready to take some steps back. And then we're going to go back to the beginning, like I said, when it says that, and God and the Spirit was on the face of the deep. All right. It moved upon the face of the deep. Now, so my understanding that God, it was the Spirit of God. It was the face of the deep, which that means it was water and darkness. The earth had not yet manifested. Follow me now. Nothing but water and the Spirit moving upon the face of the deep.
Talk to him. We want to expound on that real shortly. Go ahead, Pops.
Okay? Because I'm laying the foundation now on how all this come about, because it's going to blow you away like it blew me away. Huh?
We got to lay foundation.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm laying the foundation. So when he began to start moving upon the face of the deep, like I said, everything was already spoken to be what he wanted it to be. It just not had yet manifested. So he's given the introduction in the beginning of Genesis 1:1, letting you know what was then in existence and what was going on. And he was basically giving us step by step on what he was doing and what was about ready to unfold. That's why when you read it in Genesis 1:1, it starts out in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Then he moves on to say that darkness was upon the face of the deep. Then he said that he separated. Well, before that, he said, let there be light. Now, what I wanted to bring emphasis on with that was that when he said he moved upon the face of the deep and darkness, okay, now the war in heaven had to already have done taken place, but then again, see, there was no spirit realm yet, so something is going on right here. They kind of confused me with this. Because we know darkness represents the devil, okay? Darkness represents Satan. It represents Satan. But he said that he made light. He said, let there be light. If you read it in Genesis. Now, what threw me was he said, let there be light, but yet there was already darkness present. That kind of baffled me. Because darkness was already present. But he said, let there be light. But then there was just the spirit of him moving upon the face of the deep. But he said he made heaven and earth. Now, I'm not confusing anyone. I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but just follow me here. Because all this will tie in and connect with one another as I begin to move on with the podcast. I was just laying that foundation down so that as I begin to start building upon that, then you'll see how all this interconnect with one another. Getting back to the garden, okay? Because see, there was days that he did created his creation, you know. He spoke it all into existence by just speaking it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you do your work before you actually you lay what you call a blueprint. Thank you, Holy Ghost. That's what he did. He was laying a blueprint for his creation. But his blueprint that he was laying for his creation, that he was speaking it all into existence, calling it to be as though it already wasn't. All right. So as he was speaking these things, they were just coming into existence, not yet manifesting itself yet. Y'all follow me, you two family? That's why as he began to start manifesting his creation, then they began to start appearing, and you begin to start seeing it coming to manifestation when he was saying that let there be light. Okay, then there was light. Then he began to say, let the darkness be separated from the light. Then he began to say, let the firmament. Now, before I get a little bit farther down the road with that, we're gonna talk a minute on about the water, because water plays a very interesting role in God's creation and everything thereafter about his creation. Okay. When he said water, he separated the waters from the waters. That means there was water that he retained above him, which where we get rain from. Then there was the water that was left below, you know, which before he could have the Garden of Eden come to manifestation, he had to have dry land. Okay. The dry land is simply what became earth. Are y'all following me, you two? That's what became earth when he said, let dry land appear. Okay. Before he could make earth, it had to be dry land. He didn't say, let the earth appear. If you go back and read that scripture, he said, and let dry land appear. Okay. Because first he had to separate the waters from the waters. That means that it was totally void, you know. He said the spirit was on the face of the deep. That means it was nothing but water. Then after he separated the water from the water, there was water that was above where it was at with him. Then there was the water that was below us, okay, which was left, okay. So there's still earth wasn't yet apparent, okay. There was no appearance of earth, you know. No Garden of Eden, no nothing, you know. So after he did that, then he had to say, let dry land appear.
Hold on,
Once dry land, huh?
Hold on, real quick. Hold on, real quick.
Go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Shout out to my brother Red Supreme TV1 in the building. What's good with you, bro? You already know, man. Sitting up here in the building, chopping it up about this spiritual roots of Adam and man. So, you know what I'm saying? My pops right here is in the building. Y'all go ahead, tap in, walk with my pops. He gonna break this thing down, man. I'm in the background in the cut, chilling like, you know what I'm saying, a band-aid. You know what I'm talking about? Go ahead, Pops.
Okay. So now, so that before he could, like I said, before he could start working on the Garden of Eden or even earth itself, he had to have dry land. So that's when he said, let dry land appear. Now, in order for dry land to appear, the first time he separated the water from the waters when it was upon the face of the deep. Then the second phase of separating the waters was that what water that was left below had to also be separated too before dry land could appear. You follow me, YouTube? So once again, he separated waters from the waters. That's where we get our oceans. That's where we get our seas from. That's
Now,
where
mind you,
we
real
get.
quick, Pops, I gotta stop you, mind you, real quick.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
mind
Go ahead.
you, in the scriptures, the word ocean does not appear.
Right, right, right,
The word
right,
ocean does not appear in the scriptures.
right,
God created and separated the waters or the seas. He did not separate the ocean.
right,
And
right.
maybe one of these days I'll sit up here and get into that with y'all. But I just want to let y'all know that it's a difference. And when y'all hear the words, I want y'all to understand that they have meaning, man. And it's a difference between separating God separating the seas, and then later after the Nicene Council, they calling them oceans. We ain't gonna get into that tonight, though. I just want to make that distinction. Go ahead, Pops. Tap in, walk with us. Y'all hit that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page. Y'all know where it's at, man. The only father and son duo on YouTube, breaking down the scriptures, connecting the dots. Yiddy, go ahead, Pops.
Okay. Now, like I was saying before, son, there's only two expressions when it comes to liquid that God uses when it refers to water, and it's the deep and it's water. Okay. I told you once before, son, that I believe that when we name the things that we name is because of what God gives us with the intelligence of who we are, you know. See, that man also can name names of things and put names on things. And it was just for him to understand the whole significance about water, period. You know, that's why he says oceans and seas. You don't see none of these words in the Bible at all. Only thing refers to liquid in the Bible is when it refers to water is water or the deep. Those are the only two words you'll ever see in the Bible when it's related to about water, period, is water and the deep. So when we get oceans, this is what man's intelligence, I guess, from what the part of him having in God, of what God put in him, that he came up with these names to for his benefit to know what they are, to know that the ocean. And then there's different regions why they have different names, you know, and I'm getting ready to get into that also, you know. But like I said, once he separated the waters from the waters, those that was obtained from above, kept above, and then those that what was left below, you know, before earth could be made or appear, then there had to be dry land. See, because see, that's what he did. He made everything step by step as it unfolded and manifested itself. That's why I said, follow me, YouTube family, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Because once he divided the waters from the waters, then he had to divide the waters again that was below in order for dry land to appear, you know. And he said, let dry land appear. And when dry land appeared, that means the rest of the waters that was below, it began to separate in itself. See, dry land, when he said, let dry land appear, in order for the dry land, now follow me, I don't sound like, I know it sounds like I might be repeating myself, but listen to what I'm saying, and you see where the words and my sentences changes up just somewhat as I move on with it, even though I'm saying the same thing. When he said, let the waters separate the waters from the waters, there was a lot of water being separated, first of all, not just from above to what was left from below, but after that, when he spoke it again to let dry land appear, the waters below began to start separating itself from one another, okay? Dividing itself. Water dividing itself among itself below so that the dry land could appear, okay? Not the opposite or not the reverse of you think when he said let dry land appear, then dry land just came up out of the water. No. That's what most of you people are thinking right now. That's the way it was when he said that. Erase that thought right now, because I know that's what you're thinking. But in order for the dry land to appear, he had to continue to separate the waters. And that's how we got the oceans and the seas. You follow me, you two? I'm hoping that making some sense. Because then you got the rivers, then you got lakes, then you got streams. Now, the reason why that I said that like that is because look at the various different types of places where water is at below, to where that we end up having oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, and streams. Now, the reason why that I said that like that, and there's so many different categories of water like that being divided, is because there's more water on earth than it is land. Another footnote. Ocean, it also represents the depthness of water in relation to how much water is located all over the earth in certain different places. That's a mind boggler right there if you really think about it, to where that water stays only where that it's supposed to stay and go where only it's supposed to go. But the importance of it is more so it's the depthness of it, you know, the depthness of it, how deep that the water is, you know. Now, the water is deeper in oceans than it is in seas. It's deeper in seas than it is in rivers. Rivers are deeper than it is in lakes. Then you have the streams. All right. Those are just the different variations of water, you know. Now that's deep to me because God he hadn't meant for it to be a whole lot of dry land anyway. And the only reason why that he made it dry land is only for it to be able to, for earth to manifest itself. Okay, because that's what earth is. That's what earth represents, dry land. Dry land. So in order for him to create and make the Garden of Eden, he had to have dry land. And in order to have dry land, he had to have a place to have it to be. So he called it earth. And that's something. He calls it earth. And on earth, when he made it, he had him a locality of a place that he called it the Garden of Eden. Now, a garden is a locality of a place to grow things. Well, in God's eyes and in his mind and infinite thinking, a garden to him was where he was going to start the whole creation of mankind. Vegetation, all right? Notice that when he said let dry land appear, that's just what it was. It was dry land. It wasn't nothing but just dry land. Well, what do you mean dry land? Dust. It was dust, dirt, that came up out of the water. Then he began to start creating and building upon that. Then that's when the Garden of Eden took place. That was the place and the foundation where everything else far was going to be on dry land would extend from, come out of.
All right, then
This
we got.
is where.
Hold on, real quick, Pop.
Huh?
Brownie Ellie, what's good, Brownie baby? How you doing, baby? Pam that boy, what is good, man? We got my man Red Supreme TV1 in the building in the comment section. We got my baby Brownie Ellie in the comment section as well. And we got my homie Cam that boy in the building, man. Be on the lookout this Thursday, y'all. We're gonna have my baby Brownie Ellie on the show, chopping it up Thursday night for ladies' night. We're gonna pick her brain. You know what I'm talking about? XL Pro, what it do, man? Yeah, man. Go ahead, Pops. I just wanted to go ahead and acknowledge everybody that's in the building. Go ahead, Pops.
Okay. So when he was unfolding his plan for Adam, because like I said, all this was for Adam anyway. You know, God had this in mind for Adam anyway. So he's setting all this up for man. Okay. Before man could come on the scene, this is what God had to put all together and bring into manifestation before he put man into the picture. Okay. So he come up with the Garden of Eden. Okay.
Hold on, Pop. Stop for a second. You see what Cam that boy just said on the screen?
No, wait a minute.
Put your glasses on and look what Cam that boy said, man.
We say, what's up? All helping me out through the tough times. Okay.
What's up, y'all?
All right.
What's up? Y'all helping me out through the tough times.
Right.
Basically, he's just saying he appreciate what we're doing.
All
He's
right.
helping me out in the tough times, man.
That's all right. That's hey. And I love that. That's good. That lets me know that I'm doing my job and I'm doing the right thing. I appreciate that, young man, and God will continue to bless you and do for you, all right? As he will for everybody else.
We appreciate that, brother. This is what we do it for, man. This ain't got nothing to do with us, man. It's all for y'all and for the Most High. You hear me, man? Y'all remember that, man. Tap in, walk with us.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you for that, young man. So he was doing this for Adam anyway, all right? Because like I said, he had Adam in mind from the very beginning. So the Garden of Eden was basically made and being in preparation for Adam. You know, gives you more of an insight to God's divine plan and his will and how God knows how to orchestrate what he wants to be done and how he wants it to be done. Now, I know that what I'm saying right now, even for myself, so I know it's even for my YouTube family out there, that you'll begin to look at the beginning of Genesis 1:1 and the Garden of Eden in a whole new perspective. Because we would never have looked at it this way if God had not brought it to me, that now I'm bringing it to y'all. Because when I saw it in a way that he was letting me know how he was unfolding it all, it blew me away. So I know as I present it and bring it to my YouTube family, I know it's going to blow you away. Because even just what I just said so far, it is enough for you to make you want to know and listen and want to hear more. Which that's what I'm getting ready to do right now. But he was doing this with Adam in mind anyway. Now check this out, YouTube family. God is awesome. First of all, he said that in order for me to be able to do what I want to do, I have to have the proper things. So then he had the dry land appear. And like I said, when he said dry land appear, that means he had to finish separating all the water below from the waters. You know, it was already water from below, like I said before. I'm not going to emphasize too much back on this again, but in order to tie it in to go forward even further, then I have to repeat it again like I'm doing it right now. But the waters that was below, he had them separate itself from one another. So there was a lot of separating of the water that was left below. Like I said, how we got our oceans and our seas, you know, and our lakes and our rivers, you know. And so once that was, then whatever was left, that what was dry land, okay? It's like I said, it's still more water on this earth than it is earth, you know. And people even say that wrong, you know, how much water is on the earth. No, it's not how much so much as water is on the earth, it's how much earth that is not underwater. Okay. That's how I look at it, you know. Because he bought dry land up just enough for him to put man on it and to finish out his plan with Adam, okay? Because he knew Adam was going to be made and created and everything. Because he said he came from the dirt. So once he bought dry land up, then he began to start dressing the garden. What we call planting, he was dressing. Then now here's where seeds come into work and operation, okay? Because he began to say, let there be vegetation, okay? He just, like I said, he just spoke everything to be what he wanted it to be. Before it manifested, he still spoke it into existence. Then when he was ready for it to manifest itself, then he began to start calling it out, you know, let the trees bring forth the trees, let the vegetation bring forth all kind of vegetation, you know, let the birds in the air, let fowls be in the air, let there be 4-footed beasts on the ground, you know. As he began to start speaking it, then they began to start manifesting. But it had to have the seed because he had seeds. This when the seed come into it. There are seeds within a seed. There are seeds, plural, in a seed, singular. Isn't that something?
Man, oh, stop.
That is so deep.
Stop.
Go ahead, son.
I had to interrupt my meal.
Chew on that a little bit, but go ahead, son.
I had to interrupt my goddamn supper for that, man. Do y'all understand what my pops just said to y'all, man? You know, we be talking real heavy over here, man. That's why I tell y'all to study etymology. Seeds within a seed. Seeds plural within seed singular. Ah, man, that's powerful. Do y'all understand how powerful of a paradigm that is right there, man?
Yes, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Go ahead. I just have to point that out, man.
Okay. So
hold
now,
on real quick. Hold on now. Listen. Let me just start like just a little bit long, a little wider. Listen. Y'all hear the concept of circles within circles, right? If y'all aware of such things, it's a concept known as circles within circles, right? This is Lucifer, Satan, the devil's inversion of this paradigm right here that the Most High created in fairness, balance, and equality, harmony, right? Seeds within seeds. This is where the twisted mind of Lucifer comes from in his inverse when I talk to y'all about compartmentalization.
Son, you breaking up.
You said I'm breaking up?
Yeah, you coming through phlegmatic, like in fragments.
I'm borging out there, y'all. Is it still coming through like that?
I don't know if it sounds like that to the rest of you too.
Put a 1 in the chat if I'm borging, y'all. You know, when we be talking heavy like this, you know, they be I can
Yeah, you breaking up.
Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. If I'm borging out. Because y'all know
okay, go ahead.
Y'all know how the unintelligent artificial intelligence is, man. Right.
Yeah, he's trying to interfere with that with your.
Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, a little bit you are, but you still pretty much sound.
I don't know if it
Yeah, you still sound fragmented.
If it sounded like that to you, it probably sound like that to them too. I'll say it's good out there. I don't know. That's
well, it has to because that's what I'm hearing.
I said Uncle Diggity said no Borg out here. We're gonna have to get you on the actual. You know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, sound like that too.
Nah, they said it's cool. They said I'm crystal clear to them. So we just fall back. We're gonna have to. Now listen to what I'm saying, y'all. This is where compartmentalization come from, right? This is the inverted concept of the same natural thing that came from the Most High. Understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying to y'all right now, man. Right? Oh yeah, 222 smell. Right? Yeah, but I've been telling y'all for a long time that they're coming for the pistols, man. You feel me? Whoever has physical and or mental health illnesses and takes prescription drugs will not be able to own a gun or conceive kids coming soon. Yeah. That's crazy, man. You know? So think about that, y'all. Think about this. You hear me? This is an ill concept right here, man. I want y'all to understand how everything the Most High creates in fairness, balance, and equality and harmony. Lucifer, Satan, the devil has the inverse of that, where the Most High created seeds within one seed, you know, through the twisted, demented mind, right? The very thought of thinking that he could somehow overthrow the Most High, that took on the life of itself, and how we have dissociative identity disorder, multiple personality disorder, Lucifer, Satan, the devil. That's where all this stuff comes from, man. I just wanted to break that down real quick, man. Go ahead, Pops.
Okay. Can everyone hear me clearly out there?
Can you hear me?
Do I sound clear to you, son?
I said, can you hear me?
You sound broken up though, son.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, but you sound broken up. Your conversation is
Or can you hear me?
Can you hear me? All right.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Before,
okay.
Just a minute ago, you were sounding in fragmented sentences when you were talking. You were sounding. You remember the last time when we had our podcast when it was all that broken up pieces and stuff? That's where you were sounding.
So how about now? Can you hear me clear now?
Oh, clear as a bell right now.
All right, well, go ahead, do your thing, man.
Okay, all right.
Hey, no weapon form, y'all. No weapon form.
That's right. That's right. Enemy always try to get in there. He can't do anything. But what I was saying was how that when he was creating that he was making the Garden of Eden specifically for Adam. All right. And also it was a place for him to dwell at as him being a spirit, you know, because he was still on earth. I mean, when he said, let dry land appear, and then when there was earth, and the Garden of Eden is a locality. It was a particular location of a place on the dry land. That when it appeared, that God began to start forming and making the Garden of Eden. That's where all the vegetation, what we call greenery, okay, trees and all that, everything that what he was speaking of, that what he wanted to be, the fruit trees and the animals, all that was retained within the Garden of Eden. Now, the rest of the dry land, however much of it that it was still referred to as being earth. But there was no other vegetation or life on the rest of the dry land. Only all what was within the Garden of Eden, that what we read of, that what he made to be and to appear, the birds in the air, which is the fowls in the air, the 4-footed beasts in dry land, you know, that it was right all within the Garden of Eden. It wasn't nowhere else on the dry land. All the rest of the dry land that was dry land, there was none of that there. Now, I know that's hard for some people to grab, but believe me, that's the way it was. And I'm going to prove that, and it's going to come out that way, and you will see that that's where it was by the time I get through with this podcast. But within the Garden of Eden, everything that what there was that God created, that's where it was all contained at, only in the Garden of Eden. It had not yet spread it any further on the rest of the dry land that was left. Dry. You follow me, YouTube family? So all this was going on within the Garden of Eden. Then God said, let me take and make man in our likeness and our image. Now, he had created everything else. He had brought everything else into manifestation. The last one that had to be manifested was Adam himself. That was the last thing that God brought into manifestation and created, being a part of his creation. Why? One is because God had Adam in mind. Two, he had to have a place to put him in before he put him in it. Or before he brought him about, he had to have a place to put Adam in. That's why I said that he had made the Garden of Eden with Adam in mind from the beginning, to make man, in other words, what I'm saying, from the beginning. So he had to have all this prepared for him before he brought him into existence. That's why Adam was the last thing to be made. A lot of people understand why he was made on the sixth day and why Adam was the last part of God's creation that he made. 3 is because that Adam would be made in the likeness and the image of God. Whoa, revelation, revelation, revelation. That's why Adam was the last thing to come into manifestation, because it would be the total likeness and the image made of God himself.
Talk to him.
That's deep.
Powerful.
So he took the dust of the earth. He said, let us make man in our likeness and our image. This is the spirit now of God himself. So he said, well, all right, what we going to use? We're going to use the dust from the earth. That's the image. Okay. And God bringing Adam together. See, you got to remember, God, if he's a spirit, he has no physical form. So what it is that, how he gonna make Adam in his likeness? I mean, God is not a man. He's not dirt. So his likeness and his image that he's referring to, let him, when he said, let us make man in our likeness and in our image, is him being the spirit of what he is. When he said, let us make man in our likeness and our image. As what? As him being a spirit. Are you grabbing that, YouTube family?
Yeah,
He said, let us make man.
This is a paradigm that most of y'all right here, because I get asked a lot about this part, man.
Now just go.
I'm about to say in our image, right? I was hearing a girl today. I was hearing a girl earlier yesterday on TikTok, right? Hear her mouth talking about something she ain't got no business talking about, and this is exactly why Timothy 2:12 it says in what it says, man. This is why God said, "I suffer not for a woman to teach." Right? Ye of so little understanding. This girl talking about the whole Trinitarian thing, talking about the Trinitarian is 3 separate persons, separate people.
Right.
just totally butchering what the Most High clearly made so plain and clear. You know what I'm saying? And this is a paradigm that a lot of y'all get confused by, man. You know what I'm saying? When created man in our image, you know what I'm saying? It's not three separate persons, three separate people, three separate mentalities. No, it's three aspects of one mentality, just like it's many seeds within one.
Right.
See, a lot of y'all out there, up there, y'all doing like I was listening to Geno Jennings earlier today, Pops, man, and this girl was talking crap about my brother Geno Jennings, man. And this is why Most High said he suffers not for a woman to teach, because y'all be knowing what the hell about, and y'all be misinterpreting the scriptures, sitting here thinking that you breaking something down, and Most High didn't even call you to do that anyway, which is why you're not good at doing it, right? Just get that out the way, right? But when we're talking about man created in our image, see, and this is why I say this is where the discernment has to come in at. And this is why I say the word was in the scriptures was revamped in the way they were to and we have been indoctrinated with what we know as word association. Because when you hear the word persons, you're thinking of separate individuals. Right? But see, you're thinking of separate individuals in this reality. Physics, laws of physics, persons, individual, sentient, carbon, human flesh, fallen state, persons. Huh? Mine's not thinking ecclesiastically, spiritually. So when you put your spiritual thinking cap on and you think of the concept of three persons, think of the concept what my pops just said, seeds within one seed. The threefold personalities or manifestations of the mind of the Most High. The Holy Spirit, not the Holy Ghost. Right. The Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. All three manifestations of one entity, one being. Right. Not one three separate. Right. Not three separate. Right. Not this is separate from the Father. No. And Scripture plainly says this numerous times that the Father is the Son is the Father, the Holy Spirit is all three. It constantly says this in the Scriptures. So for y'all to sit up there and convolute it and mix it, this is what the Most High was talking about. No, take it away or add it. And this is another reason why a lot of y'all chicks. This is why I say proper structure and order needs to be re-implemented, man. I suffer not for a woman to teach. 2 Timothy 2:12, man. I suffer not for a woman to. I mean, he means I will not. I suffer not means you ain't supposed to be doing it because you think the Most High is going to suffer any more than he did when he came down in the form of Yeshua and suffered on that goddamn cross, man. Huh? So with that being said, man, a lot of y'all women, y'all need to just be quiet, right? I'm gonna leave that right there.
All right. And you're right, son. A lot of people, when they don't understand the word of God, because like it says, you cannot, the natural-minded man cannot understand the spiritual things of God anyway, you know. And that's what happens with a lot of people, you know, that tries to understand God's word spiritually, is that they try to understand it with their natural mind. And they can't, and they won't ever, never be able to understand it because the two just don't mix, you know. And far as women being a part of trying to teach the word of God, I believe that that's just a trick and another way that the enemy tries to get to be and bring in more confusion, you know, of the word of God, you know, because that's still all a part of Lucifer's plan anyway. Just like I said before, he had always used it, woman, from back in the garden to help sin and put out his works and to manifest his works. And he will always use the woman because she's the weaker vessel. If that worked it for him, listen, YouTube family. And women, like I said, I'm talking about men, but you know, you women like to drag yourself into where you don't need to be and not supposed to be when it comes to that, the things that are left of and up to a man to do. All right. Ever since in the garden, you was always targeted to be used by the devil. He hasn't given up on you yet. He still uses you today. Look how far you have accomplished his goals. Listen, women, how far you have accomplished his goals in the earth with man up to this point. Let's name out a couple that what he had really used you to do is, first of all, women's liberation. Number one. Number two, separating you from your rib. Because that's what he done, because that's what you are. You are part of man's rib. And he caused division against man himself. What you mean, man himself? When men and women are against each other, that still is man basically against himself. So you are warring against yourself, women, when you war against your man or with man. You're trying to take his role and do his part in the earth, period. All right. I've got a saying that this says in the royalty of families of being a king and a queen, that a queen has her own throne that she sits on. Notice, the king has his throne, the queen has her throne.
Talk to him. This is
I
powerful
say
right here, man. This is powerful right here. Talk to him.
yes.
Bro.
Yeah, I say, see, what's wrong with reason why there's not many queens as there is kings? First of all, it's not meant to be that way. Second of all, the only way you can become a queen, that if it is bestowed upon you by a king. You hear me out there, females? You hear me out there, women?
Talk to him.
You can never maintain the role of
Say that one more time.
A woman can, yeah, you can never become a queen unless it is bestowed upon you by a king. Second of all, you cannot be on the king's throne if you're a queen. You're supposed to be on your own throne. And there's only certain things that a woman is supposed to do. Period. Not in man's eyes, not in your eyes, women, but in God's eyes. And what God, universal law, put out there, can't nothing change it. So all this women liberation and all you women wanting to be, you already separated. Y'all continue to being used by the enemy, and you still, your eyes are not open yet to this. All right. And whatever you're doing in the earth, women, you're not fighting against man, you're fighting against your creator, which is God. But to move right along now, that's why in the garden, God had planted everything what he wanted to be before it manifested itself. Okay. Now, Adam was the last thing that he wanted to bring into manifestation, because the garden was the main thing that he was making for Adam. This is for the beginning of everything else to start from, far as earth had to do with it. All right. And man, because like I said before, he's doing all this for man. All this is about man, for man, with man. You know, and he said, I have to make a place for him and get it prepared for him. Get it ready for him. And then doing that, when he created the rest of creation, when he said, let the fowls be in the air and let the 4-footed beasts be on the ground, you know. Now, you notice, like me and my son brought out once before about in a podcast, that when he was making and bringing creation into manifestation, he never mentioned anything about things that was in the water. Because
that's powerful.
The water was already there. And when he spoke everything else to be into existence, because all that was still being being spoken of and through for in the water. See, remember I said everything come up out of the water, everything is of water, you know. So once he started naming for things to come to manifestation, they just appeared. They just appeared. That's why he didn't have to name any life in the ocean or in the water, rather. He already knew what he wanted to be in the water. He already spoke it to be in the water. Then everything else, when he started saying what he was saying, then they would just start manifesting. See, it was 2 times that he was speaking. The first time he was speaking, when he was speaking and calling those things to be not as though they already were. That's when it was just the spirit of him upon the face of the deep, along with darkness. Now, that's why I said the darkness had to be about Lucifer. He didn't go into detail about that, but apparently the war had to take place, or not only so much, I don't think the war, because heaven even wasn't, there wasn't even a heaven existed yet. So that was a part of the separation of himself that he knew that he was going to bring about to bring evil and negativity into the world. See, that's what darkness represented anyway. Okay.
No,
That's why I said this can be mind-boggling. Huh?
No, mine's all right.
Go ahead, son.
Although darkness was upon the face of the deep, God didn't create darkness. Huh?
Seriously?
You hear what I said, Pops? I said God, the Most High, did not create darkness.
Right. Right. Okay.
God saw the light, and he saw that the light was good. He created the light and saw that the light was good. See, this is a paradigm right here that a lot of us don't understand. God created the light, right? By speaking into it. He saw that it was good. All right. So that being said, that means that like us being created in God's image, that means the light was God. God didn't create the light. God is the light.
Right.
Existence
right.
And saw that it was good. There's no darkness in God. That's why he saw that the light was good, because the light was him. Do y'all understand that? Powerful. Powerful. Let's go, Pops.
Okay.
Let's have to break that
down. So when he separated, right.
That's powerful, man.
So when he separated, he separated the light from the darkness. Okay. Then when dry land appeared, then he separated the waters from the waters from above and the waters below. Then he said, dry land appear. After dry land appeared, then that's when he took and formed and made the Garden of Eden. This is a particular location out of all the rest of the dry land. And he said, and he called it earth, because earth represents dirt and ground. Okay. So he dressed the garden with all the things that what we see in vegetation today.
Salad dressing?
That is all over the earth.
That sounds like that spiritual ranch or something, man.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of people think that when the Garden of Eden was formed, that when it speaks of all the trees and the fruit trees and the animals running all loose and rampant and trees and grass and everything is all over the whole earth. No, it was not like that at first. Right. This was all that was just in the garden. all that, even the animals and all that, everything, all that was pertained within the garden.
So let me break
All
this
the
down for
rest of
y'all.
the dry land, all the rest of the dry land of earth, which became earth, was
Right.
barren. Listen to me, people. It was barren.
Talk to him.
So the only place that there was animals and fruit trees and everything else was what I just read off to you, what was in the garden. It was only in the garden only. It wasn't all over the rest of the dry land, what we call earth.
Now.
That's powerful.
Let me break this down real quick, right? See, a lot of us also are using our how can I say it? Our fallen state brain to understand this paradigm right here. When we're thinking about the garden, of course, in the natural realm, as my father refers to it, the garden is a specific place. And not only that, it's this place of vegetation as manifested in this natural realm.
Right.
Oh, but the Garden of Eden in the spiritual realm is not necessarily a place or a location or actually physical things, but it is the actual, the arena of the thoughts of the mind of the Most High, if you would, right? Tap in and walk with me. Notice in the garden, in the natural realm, everything that came about from the imagination of the mind of God was within the garden. So think of the Garden of Eden as the seat of the thought made manifest of the thoughts of God, which is why everything was in the garden, because God is everything and everything is God. Different levels to this stuff. We got the spiritual realm, then we got the natural realm. See, when we talk about the physical location of the Garden of Eden, somewhere between the Tiger and Euphrates River, present day Iraq, which is now a desert, right? Right. So you got to make the separation of the two, and it's going to take the mind of the Most High to be in you, to make manifest in you and be awakened in you for you to understand this, man. I know a lot of y'all listening right now is like, huh? Right? But most of y'all are like, oh, it makes sense. Right. So when you think about the Garden of Eden, you have to think about it with your natural mind and with your spiritual mind. Your natural mind, which is finite, right? Which is the fallen state, which is the brain. And then you have to use your spiritual mind, right? Which is infinite and expansive, in order to understand that when we're talking about and referring to the Garden of Eden, we're not so much referring to a physical place, but we're referring to the location of the thoughts of the Most High God. That's powerful, man. When I first was revealed this paradigm, I was in a joint. I was in prison, right? And it was presented so clear to me, right, that it was funny. The Most High is a very, very funny comedian, right? Bring it back to my pops. Go ahead, pops.
Okay, and son, okay, too, like I was saying, son, God was also contained within the Garden of Eden. The spirit of himself was contained within the Garden of Eden as well. See, so God was literally manifesting himself as a spirit in the physical realm. Both at the same time being in the spiritual realm, him being a spirit, okay? That's why it was the Garden of Eden. This was a located area, and it was where God, it refers to in the same way when you look at that where Moses was on Mount Moriah, when God gave him the 10 Commandments, and when he was talking to him about he wanted him to go to Pharaoh and to tell Pharaoh to let his people go. And when he told Moses that when Moses came up into the mountain and in the location where that the burning bush was, and he told Moses to take off his sandals because he was stepping on holy ground. No, y'all didn't know that, did you? When Moses went up into the mountains, when God was talking to him, and when God called Moses, see, that was Moses' first time being called by God. Is that he heard he was with one of the shepherds. He was with, I forget the guy's name, who daughter that he was talking to, but he was talking to her, memory. He was talking to her, and he kept hearing his voice, and he was telling her, "Do y'all hear that voice?" And she knew what was going on. Then, she said, "No." She said, "I guess that must be God talking or calling you." So Moses leave her, and he follows the voice of God. God's calling him up until Mount Moriah. That's Moses coming to God, and God led him up to the mountain. And when he came up to the mountain and he came up to the place where God was at, it was a burning bush. Everybody remember that in the Ten Commandments. And the bush was burning, but it was not consumed. That was the presence and the Spirit of God. God had took the top of that mountain and totally purified it, sanctified it, and made it holy so the presence of him could be able to manifest itself there. You feel what I'm saying? Because he's a spirit. So he manifested himself through the burning bush. And when Moses was coming closer, he told Moses, "No, take off your sandals, for where you are at now, you are on holy ground." Now, I'm saying that to line this back up with going back to the Garden of Eden. That's the same scenario it was with the Garden of Eden, with the Spirit of God and with God, because he was in that garden. He had to be in that garden because he made and created everything right there in that garden. Everything manifested right there in that garden. Garden represents nothing but an area to grow things on and in. And that's just what God did. But he took it up out of the water. Water what make things grow. So the scenario of it all began to start falling in its place once you begin to understand precept upon precept. And when I began to start doing this, starting off with just knowing more about man, then all this comes to me. This is what God's showing me. He gives me all of this. And I'm saying, wow, this is deep. So he couldn't even bring Adam into existence, or man, until all the rest of it was done. He had to have a place for him, because in the last of all this that is said and done, that's what he said. Now he said, now we have no one to tend to the garden. We have to have a man to be put in here to help keep all this up. We have no one to tend the garden. This is in the scriptures. This is still in Genesis. I'm still in Genesis. After he did all that, all the birds in the air, all the 4-footed beasts on the land, everything, all the different fruit trees and everything. He said, now I have this garden. Now we have no one to till it and to take care of it. Then God said, let us make man in our likeness and in our image. And let us put him in the garden to till the garden and to take care of the garden. Let us make man in our image and our likeness. Okay, we're going to do this. So now what we're going to use to make man in our image and in our likeness? Let's take him from the dirt of the earth. Let us take him from the dirt of the earth. Our image and our likeness are who we are, being a spirit. That was the image and the likeness that Adam, the dirt, the man, was made from. He was made from dirt. Dirt is what he is. Here we get to the connection of the who and the what of what we are. What he was the dirt from the earth. Who he is, he's the image and the likeness of the Spirit of God. That's the twofold and the makeup and the two natures of man right there. The physical and the spiritual. Let us make man in our likeness and in our image. That's how Adam got his name to be called a man. From the image that God had as a spirit in himself being a spirit. That he say we'll call him man. But he comes from the dirt of the earth, which was originally being dry land. See, all this is tying, all this is locking into each other. All of it locks in itself. That's how important and that's how deep man is. That's how who we are, man. That's I'm trying to say, that's why I said I name it Adam. The first man, knowing who we are. This is a part of what we are, man. All right. We are so much of this earth as we are of God. We're just as much as physically as we are spiritually, and just as much as spiritually as we are physically. But this is what happened when God said, let us make man in our likeness and in our image. Look at all the creativity that God has for him to even bring about the creativity of his creation. That's in us. Man. Women had gotten to the point to where that the devil used her in such a way that a lot of what was put on the man and the recognition of the man has now been shifted to where that all that is basically now on her. The attention of it, let me put that way. The attention. Women gets more attention and is more attentive to in this earth now than man has ever been since the fall. And God said it ought not continue to be that way. See, it was always about the man, because that's what it started out being, about the man. Then after Lucifer, Satan the devil, after he did what he did in the garden, it's been off balance and it's been offset ever since. And that's why we hear so much from women. That's why I said I wanted to do a podcast about men, to let men know it's time for them to get back where they're supposed to be in their position on this earth, that what God started out to do from the beginning. Yes, he knew it was going to go astray. But he had the sons of God, the men that are waking up, men that are rededicating themselves and their lives back to God, to get back in the place that they're supposed to be in, so God can continue to re-straighten out all this junk that went astray, okay? And it's not going to be done until men wake up, okay? And quit going so much into their flesh and start pursuing their spirit nature in them, and quit feeding and going and being slaves to the natural man of themselves, okay? That's what got them in a whole lot of this trouble in the first place. God is saying he's waiting for the sons to be manifested again back into the earth. Those that who he can deal through, those who he can work through, those who he can use to help restore and bring everything back in order in this world, in this earth, with man. All right, that what the devil has been able to tear down and destroy, because the same ones that the devil used to do all this through is the same one that God is going to use to bring it back all right again. Okay,
powerful.
Now, it was the woman that was used, but because the man was standing right there beside her when it all happened, that's why it's his responsibility to pick it back up again and take over and get back in his proper place where he's supposed to be.
I told
It'll
y'all.
never be done through women. Okay? So you men, you have to forget that. God bringing his creation back into order again is not going to be done through men. It's going to be not through women. It's going to be go through us men. It was us men that who it started out all with. God didn't make woman first. He could have reversed that whole situation if that was the case, man. He could have had Eve been what he wanted to be in the place of Adam if that was the case, and let the serpent fool us instead of fooling her. Come on.
I want y'all to get to a place where y'all over inner outer understand why Lucifer, Satan, and devil came to Eve versus coming towards Adam. I want y'all to get to a place where y'all over inner outer understand this paradigm. But see, the sad thing is, and we get called bashers and we get all types of effery for this, right? See, the thing is, due to y'all being the weaker vessel, and Lucifer, Satan, the devil knew this. He knew this. See, he knew that women wasn't created in the image and likeness of God. See, he wasn't able to approach Adam.
Right.
Adam was literally the physical manifestation of God himself. Remember my pops told y'all before the fall, Adam was spirit. He had complete, total dominion over the Garden of Eden, which means he even was given the responsibility of naming everything within creation. Think about that. He was not, that was not, listen, woman wasn't even invented, wasn't even created.
Right.
When Adam was, let me cam up for this, man, pops, man.
Right.
Hold on. Understand that Eve wasn't even a thought in the mind of the Most High when he created Adam. Adam was given dominion over everything.
Everything.
Everything. Which is why he named everything. Now, mind you, at the point in time when Adam was creating or naming all the everything, Eve wasn't around at this point.
Sure wasn't.
Oh, but LSD was.
Yeah, he was.
Y'all ain't never heard this type of teaching before, man. Only a few people I know teaching this at this level. Right?
It's a rarity.
Right. Understand why we say the stuff we say. Right? Keep in mind, man, you know, only the Most High only formed Eve out of his creation, man. Understand the difference between being created and being formed.
Right.
And don't get that misconstrued when it says in the scriptures, created he, him, she, them. See, y'all, see, the mind of God got to come into you and give you and reveal this to you, man. In other ways, you're going to think about it with your carnal mind, with your natural mind, and you got to put your spiritual mind on to get this. Unfortunately, through Eve's contact with Lucifer, Satan, the devil, that firewall has been set in place.
Mm-hmm.
What's that firewall called? The R complex. Go ahead, Pops.
And you know, son, to bring up just to touch on bases on a couple other things, like you were saying that when God first created and brought Adam on the scene, that Eve was nowhere around and she wasn't. And it doesn't give a time span on how long that it was just Adam and God and all the rest of creation before woman come on the scene.
Right. A
Okay.
second is like a
But
1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a
right,
second.
exactly,
Understand that, y'all. Understand that how we
exactly.
perceive time. We come up again, man. I'm gonna have to
Right.
do a show on this though, Tupac.
Yeah.
Time as we perceive it, even if this reality is an illusion, God didn't create time. Time is a result of the fall. Actually, a result of Lucifer's fall from heaven when he came in contact with the earth, and then the world was created. Actually, time is a construct of this reality or world. So go ahead, Pops. I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna do a whole live stream on that here coming up, man.
Yeah. Well, like I said, son, I believe that time came into existence or in function was when God told Adam and Eve that the day that they shall eat thereof of that tree that they shouldn't have eaten from, that they would die. Exactly. I believe that when the fall took place, that's when time for man began.
That's exactly when time began, right? Time began, right? Soon as Eve took that and then shared it with. At that point is when time, and that's how time is an illusion. Time is a result of the fall. Now, time existed at that point, but from the aspect and perspective of Lucifer, Satan, the devil, not Adam and Eve yet, right? But when Eve partook and then shared with Adam, this is powerful right here, man. Because Adam didn't know, he didn't have a reason to question his. He didn't have a reason to question Eve. So when he took the fruit thereof, he didn't realize what it was.
Right.
As soon as they partook, time. So time as we perceive it is an illusion. This is why when you're doing something fun, time goes by fast. When you're doing something that's like at your job, time goes by slow. Right? Right now, it is 8:27 in Columbus, Ohio. But if we just was to go just a few hundred miles to the west in Chicago, it's 9:29 or 7:27. Right? Or if we was to go all the way to the west coast where my brother Red and my brother Uncle Diggity at, it'd be 4:27. Time is an illusion. It's not real. So with that being said, we only are affected by time because we believe we are. And why do we believe we are? Because we have that contact with Lucifer, Satan, the devil, who is the former, not creator, but the forming of the concept, the illusion of what we call time. Time waits for no man. Go ahead, Pops.
Yeah, and like I was saying, now back in the garden before Eve came on the scene, it doesn't give a time gap on the time that God and Adam spent among themselves before Eve came on the scene, because I don't believe, because time didn't really exist like it does now at that time in the garden. So it could be like you said, son, a day is like 1,000 days, and 1,000 days is like one day to God in the Garden of Eden, you know. But I believe that there was a substantiated amount of time that did go by before God moved on to the next phase of having Eve coming on the scene, because he was enjoying the relationship of him and Adam. Right? See, even though things were still going on in the spiritual realm, the natural realm and the physical realm was still in existence too. So it could not have been so much as superseded in speed things that just hurry up and go fast motion, because that's a lot of work, still, to have something come out of the spiritual into the natural and being natural, like he did with the creation is what I'm talking about. All the 4-footed animals, beasts that was on the field. And it says that everything that Adam named, that God brought everything to him. Every animal that God brought to Adam, and whatever Adam named him, that's what they were called. Because this is the way that it is done. This is the way it's said in the scriptures. It said Adam didn't go out and start naming animals.
Go, Professor, what it do, man?
Yeah, it said that God brought them to him. So now there's a whole lot going on in the garden.
Hold on, let me stop you right there, Pops. Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there because that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really thought about that till you just said that. Hold on, so that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Adam didn't go traversing through the garden. Powerful, man. That's why I love rocking with my pops like this, because I get revelation every Sunday, y'all. It never even occurred to me that Adam didn't just go roaming about the garden, just looking at stuff, finding it, looking at, seeking it out, and naming it.
Right.
That's everything was brought to him to be named.
To him to be named.
Man, do y'all understand how powerful that is, man? That lets you know that God and man is one and the same on the spiritual aspect of things, right? That is powerful, Pops, man.
That's what moved me to do this podcast, and I get emotional about it because it shows the depthness of the relationship, and the love that God had for man, Adam, for man. Okay, before he named him Adam, it was man himself. Man. He didn't say, "Let us make Adam in our likeness and in our image." Right. He said, "Let us make man."
It's powerful, man.
So my point is that when I began to do the study on this, and even after it all came about, that I began to start noticing how that the times continuing of that God was spending with man, okay, how that he was putting everything into man that he wanted to be. I mean, it's basically like this, YouTube family. And like I said, because this whole podcast, I told you that it was going to be nothing but revelation upon revelation upon revelation. That's why I always pray and hope that those who have spiritual eyes to see will see this, and spiritual ears to hear this when I bring these podcasts like this to surface. I can't make you see the revelation of it. You have to have your spiritual eyes open. All I say is that if you got your natural ears and your natural eyes open, because this is what is receiving it at first, then by the time, if your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears are open, you will be able to spiritually see it and receive it, But it has to come first through your natural eyes and your natural hearing. Right. Okay. Now, if you let your natural hearing and your natural eyes get in the way of letting your spiritual ears and your spiritual eyes see it, then spiritually you won't see it, because it'll be caught basically and stuck in the natural zone. And that's where natural-minded man can't understand spiritual things. So that's where the confusion, and that's where you'll get lost at with that. But as long as that the natural ear and the natural eye see it and receive it, to where that the spiritual ears and eyes can see it and hear it, then you will see it. That's why my son responds like he do every time that he hear me talk. When he get the spiritual revelation of what I'm saying, you will hear him. I hear him when he gets it. At times he'll even stop me like he just did. But this what blows me away when God gives it to me like this. And when I began to start doing this about man, I didn't think that I would end up getting all this revelation that I've gotten about man and the garden, because God's given me more insight and revelation of what the whole garden is about.
Right.
And the Garden of Eden was made specifically for Adam.
Specifically.
And how God works, just how he works, how he moves. You know what I'm saying? He don't do things all nilly-willy. He does everything in unison. You know what I'm saying? And he does everything right. You know, like we say, step upon step, precept upon precept. You know what I'm saying? How it all started out, and then how the garden began to start coming about being. You know, that
he don't do nothing haphazardly, man.
Exactly.
He doesn't do anything haphazardly.
That's best way to put that too, son.
Half-assedly.
I appreciate that. Right. He don't half-ass do anything.
You know what I'm talking about?
He does everything with perfection. Everything is perfected when he does it. He does everything the right way, you know, because his way is the only right way, you know. There's no other right ways.
Do y'all understand how powerful that is? Y'all understand how powerful men, if don't nothing motivate you as a man, you understand me? If nothing motivates you with what just was revealed, that just like put a whole new little pep in my step, Pops. You hear me? That just put a whole new, I'm talking about I got big revelation tonight, yeah.
Okay. And that's not all of it. This is just a little bit more yet to come.
Just understand how powerful that is. Men, us men.
Yes.
Men, us men, my brethren.
Yes.
The Most High brought every sentient living being in the garden up to Adam. Adam didn't have to go out searching and seeking, finding all of creation. All of creation was brought to him by God himself.
To him.
Man, that's bringing himself to himself. This is why I named my movie The Golden Fleece.
Yes.
This is why
and not only that, son.
Go ahead, Pops.
Go ahead, son. Okay.
I'm just saying, man. This is why I named my movie The Golden Fleece. Because when you look at the allegory of the theme of the Greek mythological tale of Jason and the Golden Fleece, it is man in search of himself. See, Jason and the Argonauts thought they were in search of this grand thing known as the Golden Fleece, but what Jason discovered along the trip was that he was in search of himself. Oh, man. And that's why I named my movie The Golden Fleece.
Have you ever heard of a movie, son, called The Circle of Fire with David Carradine in it?
Yes.
You heard of that movie? It's an old movie, but it's a deep movie too, because so you have heard of it. It's called Circle of Fire with David Carradine. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the whole total outcome of that movie, was that the final thing that what he had to find out, we see it was some type of a book.
Right.
That he was looking for and searching for, and he was going through everything in the earth and in the world, the thing that man's going through to find out what this book was and what was in this book. And when the bottom line of it was that when he finally got the book and when he opened up the book, you know what it was? A reflection of himself. It was a mirror showing himself. In relation to what you were just saying about your film you had about the Golden Fleece, that he was just looking for himself. So it all ties into what we're talking about, is that the basic thing is man knowing who he is. Not so much what he is, but who he is. Okay? And when I got to this about the Garden of Eden, that when I was saying before Eve came on the scene, I believe that God wanted that fellowship with his new creation of man, because he was actually enjoying of himself as a spirit being put in the physical form and in the physical body, himself, spiritually and physically at the same time, interacting with one another. Man, that's deep.
Super deep.
So let me let me give it to you now this way, that I said all that to say, to show you how valuable and how important it is for us men to see and know who we are. That when God created Adam and said, let us make man in our image and our likeness, took him from the dirt of the earth, formed and shaped and fashioned him out of dirt, and then breathed of himself into that dirt, that man, and he became a living soul. Now God said, now I can not only see myself as a spirit, but I see myself as a man, as flesh, as blood, that I can communicate with it. I can talk with it. It can communicate back to me. Man, that's deep.
Powerful.
Then God said, as the spirit, now let me introduce unto man all and who and what he is, being in the likeness and image of me. Let me show him what he's about. Let me train him as to know what it is to be a man now, with having the power and authority and ability of being who he is as a spirit. So I have to introduce himself as a man into what he is about as being a spirit.
Powerful.
It's myself teaching myself about myself as now being a man, being in flesh. Then about me knowing who I am as being a spirit. So he began to interact and fellowship with himself in flesh. Being flesh, yet still being the spirit and being God too. Introducing himself into one another, getting one another used to being with and in and about one another. Let me see how he'll do as the creativity I put in him and giving him power and dominion over everything. I'll bring certain things to him and see what he name them. Let him use and manifesting that power that he has in him and that dominion in him that I gave him as being flesh and blood. I'll bring it to him and see how he's learning. See how he's picking it up. See how he's receiving it. See how he's knowing how to use it. Here, Adam, what is this? This is a dog. That's what it'll be. Using that creative power.
Powerful.
Man, tell me that ain't deep, people.
Powerful.
And this is what we were made of, man. This is who we are still, man. I'm going to see if he learned that I gave him dominion over everything. Let's see how I use them. Same way it is when you go on the job for the first time, learning a trade, learning how to do that job, and the foreman or the person to take you through the ropes of it. Show you how to do what you got to do. Same way when you go to college to learn something, just like it was when I was in culinary school. I already knew about a lot about cooking, but there was a lot that I didn't know about, but I always had a chef to teach me. But that's what God was doing with himself, really, as being a man in flesh with Adam, was he was teaching him everything, not only about the natural realm of things, but also the spiritualness of who he was as being a spirit and a part of God. So God had to train him after he made him and created him and put all that into him. Adam just didn't do it all on his own out of nowhere. God trained him. That's where the was walking in the cool of the day came in at. That's when the fellowship came in at with God as being a man, and Adam being a spirit too and still being a man.
That's powerful, man. Hey, go, Professor. My brother. Whenever you write God, you write in all capitals, brother. Because when you write it in the way that you did, that's referring to demons.
That opens up a whole lot of revelation to me now, even more about the importance of being a man. To be proud to be a man.
Right.
Knowing who you are as being a man. And what was bestowed upon us when God created us. See, God, he made and shaped and fashioned us out of the dirt to be a man. But creatively, we are a spirit.
Now think about this, what my pops just said, though, as far as man. In the beginning, this just was revealed to me, Pops. In the beginning, God created the what? The heavens, plural, and the earth. The earth was without form, void. All right. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. So this is crazy, man. So the second thing that God created was the earth. What did he form and create man out of?
Out of the earth. And son, you said that is the only thing that came from up out of that ground too, that God made. That was the only thing that God made from the ground and used was man. That was the only thing that God formed and made from up out of the ground.
Yeah,
or from the dirt of the earth. That was the only thing.
Now peep this. And so in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He created the heavens first, the earth second. He created man out of the earth. Right? Do y'all see where I'm going with this, man? All right.
Man was the only one made from up out of the dirt.
And then
rest of creation wasn't made from that.
Right. Now peep this. Not only did he make walk with me, y'all, man. Walk with me, man. God created the heavens and the earth. He created man from the earth. Right? Not only did he create man from the earth, he created man in what? His image,
likeness and
likeness.
Right.
Huh? And when God created the heavens and the earth, he saw that it was what?
Good. That's right.
And what did I tell y'all about when he said it was good? Is because God is the light. Good. God is the earth. Oh.
Yeah.
When you're walking down the street, you're walking on God, man. You understand me? When you're breathing in, man, is that air you're breathing? Huh? This movie, Circle of Iron, was one of my favorite movies of all time. I remember my dad showing me this movie when I was a young boy. I remember it vividly. So it's another part of the revelation of tonight's teaching that my dad brought this movie.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This movie starred David Carradine, who was mysteriously taken away from us not too long ago.
Yeah.
Very
he's no longer with us.
Under very strange and mysterious circumstances, Brother Carradine was involved with revealing the global child trafficking situation. Maybe I'll get into that one of these days with y'all, right? So this movie, Circle of Iron, is so dope. It came out before or after Kung Fu, Dad?
Yeah.
Before or after?
I think a little after. I think it was
a little after Kung Fu did.
Yeah.
And this was one of my favorite movies as a child. And I remember vividly the person who bringing this movie to my awareness was my pop. So it's just a beautiful synchronization. It's just beautiful, man. You hear me?
Yeah, that's a deep movie.
Deep movie. Deep movie. Y'all go check it out, man. Starring David Carradine, man. Circle of Iron. Dope movie. I'm talking about, man, fire.
Yeah, it has a lot of spiritual overtones to it.
Yes, it does. Powerful teaching tonight, Pops, man. I gotta say, man. Understand that, y'all.
Yeah, that's why I said that I wanted to come with this, because I think that it's important for us as being men to know who we really are, you know, to help get us lined back up to who we are and where we supposed to be, you know, and the connection that we have with God, you know, and let me finish in even wrapping it up on this message tonight, because the final part of it that I wanted to share with my YouTube family was that when all this was taking place is the Garden of Eden, because now hopefully that you'll even look at the Garden of Eden in a whole new different perspective now.
Right.
You know, I don't think that it's been many people that God gave this revelation to like he gave it to me as I began to study on this, and I was studying on it just basically about man.
Hey, Pops, I could name 2 people that I've seen on YouTube, and I've shared the content with both of them with you. I'm not saying it ain't nobody else. I'm saying I ain't seen them.
Right. It's not many. It's a few. It's really it's very rarely. It's very few. But and wrapping up the latter part of my topic with this was that when he was doing all this in the garden, that all this was taking place in the garden, that when after the fall took place, now this is where the seeds come in. That's why our ministry and our podcast is called From the Spiritual Roots, son.
Right.
And why? Because it's a seed. It all started out with a seed, you know. Right. Now, when I found out that that was just a one isolated area of the dry land, which was called the Garden of Eden, that where God had decided to start everything from, right?
Right.
That when the garden, after it was fully full and furnished like God wanted it to be, then he began to start letting the other things unfold that he wanted to start happening. Then that's when the fall came about. But before the fall came about, I wanted to try to give a little bit more emphasis and insight on the relationship that God and Adam had on a one-to-one before everything else went into motion. Right. Okay? That there was a time in the spiritual realm as well as the natural realm that God spent with Adam, you know, because even though he made Adam in his likeness and in his image, as referring to as a spirit, see, that was the likeness and the image that Adam was made from and made out of. See, God used him as the spirit of what he was as a spirit. And then I'm getting deep again. It's getting revelation time coming again, even what I'm saying right now.
Talking fast. I know we're talking fast. You just got to listen a little bit more faster, man. We're talking heavy right now, man. Let's go, man.
See, because when the spirit give it to me like this, this is the only way that it can come out like the way it's coming out. Right, but see, God knew that after he created Adam in his likeness and his image as being the spirit, and him taking him from dirt and from the ground and from the earth being natural and physical, he knew that he would have to also make sure that he knew how to operate this, how it functions. You know, it's like when a toy maker make a toy. He wants to make sure that that toy works right, and that toy does everything that that toy is supposed to do. Right. So it don't have no foul, it has no mistakes in it. You know what I'm saying? So this is what God was doing after he did all this with Adam. He said, okay, now let me see how this works out with me now. You know what I'm saying? So then he began to start spending time with Adam the man. Okay. Teaching him everything about the likeness and the image of Adam being God. The man, the spirit of God, the man. You know, he wanted to make sure that they both are interacting with one another and they both are comfortable with one another. You know, that flesh had to get used to having that spirit in it. When God said after he did all that and making and creating Adam, he said he breathed of Adam. Breathe. What did he breathe into Adam?
The breath of life.
He breathed himself.
Exactly. He breathed himself in that.
He went into Adam. That's this simple as that. He went into Adam.
Do you understand that, man? So with that being said, is that air that you think you breathing? Like I
It's
say,
the very breath of it's the very breath of God. It's the life of God.
It is God Himself. That's y'all. Do y'all understand how powerful that is, man? As a man, that should be invigorating. And it should also let you know how far we as men have fallen from our natural state.
And a part of God have always been in man from that point on.
Right. So
up to present time.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Right?
Uh-huh.
Man didn't have his dominion taken away. He lost it.
Right. He lost it. That's right.
Repeat that, man.
That's right.
Man never lost his dominion. We ain't never lost our dominion, brethren.
Never lost it. Never lost it.
We gave it away. Now look into my eyes, man, because I'm very serious right now. I'm not
right. That's right.
Man. Right? We got to get our dominion back. We never really lost it. You hear me? We lightweight was manipulated out of it. But see, even once we realized we was manipulated out of it, look how long it's. And this is how I go back to time. See, in our perception of time, it's been what? So 1,000 years. But think what it's been to the Most High.
Right.
So with that being said, man, in order for things, like I always been saying, Pops, man, in order for things to get back to how proper structure and order, man, God, right. Man, woman, child. And until it get back to that structure, it ain't never going to be fixed. And this is what the whole situation with LSD and all this smart grid, human brain computer interfacing, all of this stuff is being done, set into place to completely sever that connection that we have to the source. Right?
Right.
The architect told Neo, in order to balance out the equation,
got to go back.
And you got to go back to the source.
You say you have to go back. Got to go back to the source. And like this, and that's the same analogy with man and God today. Same way with us, men today. That's the only way it's gonna be done right, is that we have to go back to where it all started at, and that's back in the garden in the beginning, and that's with God. That's why it's time for us men to wake up and take your proper place back where you were supposed to take it when our first father, earthly father, messed it up. All right. And this is what God is reaching out to right now. This is what he is saying, you know. That's why we men got to wake up, you know, and quit letting everything and everybody else run this world, okay? We have gotten so to where we gotten so weak that we have actually really more and more putting it in the hands of the women. Wake up, man. Wake up. Some don't think so, but that's what is happening, because like I said, that's what the main thing that Satan used in the garden, and that's who he's using from this point on. He ain't never stopped using woman.
So with that,
it's been working too good for him.
So with that being said, we could never be bashing. We only are setting that which was right and exact back intact. We are only setting that, huh?
This,
man, listen to what I just
YouTube
said,
family.
man.
Son, check this out. Listen to
Talk to him,
YouTube family. Listen. Hear what I'm saying. The reason why that I said that, like I said that with such force and power, is because when you look into how men have always been running this country and for the rest of the world, you know, because this is the way it is in every country.
You
The
good,
man
you
basically,
good, Fly
other than in England, that is the only country on the planet that actually is ruled and being run by a woman for I don't know how many years, and she just got off the throne.
Right.
But that was the only country on this planet that had ever been totally ran by a woman. You hear me?
Right.
It ain't supposed to be like that. But it's getting like that everywhere else, because now, if you look at it now, the way our politics is, and in this country, we were just one hair away from a woman being the president. How long you think that's going to be before that actually happens and come into existence now? And if you let a woman become a president of a country, what else can you lock her out of? Huh? And I'm saying all that to say that the devil have always used a woman to get what he wanted and done in the earth. And that's why it's time for us men to step back up to the plate and start taking our place back where we supposed to be. Period.
Andre Taylor speaks on this a lot too, man. Shout out to Andre Taylor, man.
Not just for our country, but even for our family circle.
Yeah,
to get the family unit back together.
Everything.
She done took over everything.
Everything in this reality, man. Andre Taylor speaks on this thoroughly. Dominion, the one of the main things, the matter of fact, if not the most important thing, the Most High bestowed upon us as the man created in his image and likeness after he breathed himself into us. Now, think about this, man.
Giving us dominion.
Think about this, though. God breathed himself into man.
Right.
Not into woman.
That's right.
So y'all, man, proper structure and order. We have to return to proper structure and order. Right? And that means all of us, man. You know, this ain't just like, no, you know, my pocket said, God gave us dominion, man.
Right. The dominion and authority.
The more I sit up here and think about that and things that's being revealed to me, possibly, I'm like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why I talk the way I talk, man. Mm-hmm. That's why I do what I do. You know what I'm saying? And the only way anything is going to change, and you know what I mean, and we got to realize that, you know, we still have the dominion, man. We just been bamboozled out of it to our own folly.
Right.
To our own folly. Right.
Right.
And that's why I start having this spiritual roots right on Sunday with my Bible to represent in all aspects of manhood how we need to help repair ourselves. We've been given the ability to repair ourselves. We was created in the image likeness of the Most High God. Yes, Mashiach Yahweh. Do you understand that? You understand that? Mm-hmm. This is why I advocate for the stuff I advocate for. And now listen to what I just said, how I said in the threefold paradigm, how I am fulfilling that for myself. Look, I'm not only doing this, but I'm doing this with my pops. Right? And in the process of us doing what we've been called to do, chosen to do.
Right.
Right. And upon us doing that, helping and bringing clarity to y'all, we are also healing between us. Threefold paradigm. See how it manifests? It's beautiful thing, man.
Yeah. Right. And son, one thing I wanted to add on to that after the fall took place, remember when I was saying that where the seeds play such an important part of all this too, is that after
Right.
it all was said and done, when God told Adam that because of what he did, that he would have to work by the sweat of his brow, and that he would have the earth to make the earth bring forth things for him to survive off of now.
Right.
So as a footnote, yet with a little humor with it, but yet sincerity and definitely truthfulness, is that when God expelled him out of the garden, he gave him a bag of seeds to take with him to finish replenishing the rest of the earth with vegetation, so it would bring him life, so he would be able to live off of the land. So God basically, when he put him out of the garden, he didn't put him out of the garden empty-handed. He
Right.
put him out of the garden with a whole bag of seeds of everything of the seeds that he used to make and create the things that was in the garden. God also gave it to Adam after he put him out of the garden, because he couldn't return back to the garden again.
Right. Not in that state anyway.
See. So the rest of the land was still, rest of the dry land was still barren. It didn't have anything on it.
Right.
Right? Just all dirt. So God at least gave him a bag of seeds. Of everything that was in the garden, God gave him in seeds a bag of seeds so he can start planting it again on the rest of the dry land, is what I'm saying,
Right.
So God didn't just put him out of the garden empty-handed. Is basically what I'm saying.
Basically what he said
God
is
still a just God.
And like I said, Pops, we didn't lose dominion.
Right. He didn't.
We just
No,
didn't
he
have
didn't.
it in the way.
Right. He didn't. He sure didn't.
Pops, man, you hear me? We didn't have it in the way we had it in man. We didn't have it the way we had it in our original state.
Right. That's right.
In the fallen state, and look at this. Even in the fallen state, we still was the man.
Still was the man.
Proper structure and order. So we still have dominion. It's just now we gotta work for it. At first, we could just
work for it.
Man, we could just speak it into existence. But what I've been revealed to, Pops, and this is where I say the chosen. Many are called, few are chosen, though. The smart grid is not here, but it ain't over, though. Some of us are chosen, which what I mean by that is we have the ability, even in our fallen state, in the matrix, not of it, to speak that be not as though it is.
That's right.
So the doubt you got to find out is that many have been called, few have been chosen. So you got to be able to understand.
And not only that, son, but the all of creation. Right. The rest of creation and all of creation is now crying and moaning and groaning in pain, waiting for the manifestations of the sons of God to manifest themselves in the earth. And like you said, we never lost our dominion. Right. It was never stripped from us. It was never taken from us. We turned it over. We decided to let the devil just block us to where that we no longer could use it because of him coming into view and him doing what he doing. You know what I'm saying? Right. That we felt like that we were so low below ourselves that we didn't have any power authority to do anything. It's not because we couldn't. It's the state that we allow for ourselves to be in because of us listening to him. You feel what I'm saying? God never takes nothing back from what he gave man. He never had taken anything back what he's given man, even up to this present day and this present time. Look at all the men God had blessed with spiritual gifts with and everything, and how they misused it and took advantage of it. He never took it back from them. Because God don't take back what he gives you. He's not an Indian giver. It's just that you just use it in a another way. Same way it was with Lucifer before he was cast out. All the things and attributes and the things that what he had, God did not take none of that from him when he cast him out.
This is powerful. This is powerful.
You can't find nowhere where God ever took anything back he bestowed upon man or his creation,
now
or his celestial being.
Now think about the present day music industry.
Right.
Now the reason why I say that, for y'all who just now tapping in and don't know, Lucifer was the minstrel. I started off with that earlier when I broke down with that statue they found in Russia. Lucifer was the minstrel. Matter of fact, to go even further, he was music itself. The music was him.
Right.
He was the music. So much so that it manifested in his wings.
Yes.
The Grigori, the choir. Lucifer was the choir director. And not
that's
so
right, maestro.
Not just so much as the choir director, but the actual music itself. You understand how powerful that is. And then we talked about this, and even that, Pops, this is what I'm saying. This is why I ain't got no respect, and I don't have no fear, right? A lot of y'all got fear in your heart. I got rid of fear a long time ago, man. You hear me? You hear me? This is why I speak heavy the way I do in reference to as Guy LSD. That wasn't enough, Pops.
Right.
That was not enough.
Right.
Literally music itself, so much so that it manifested in your person. That wasn't enough.
Right.
Crazy, man. It's crazy to me, man. When that was revealed to me, Pop, it just said, this is crazy to me, man. You hear me? Very disrespectful. When we think about the present day music industry, right? See how, like I said, LSD, everything the Most High has in his natural form of balance and inverse, right? And see, God gave Lucifer this ability. He the one that bestowed that upon him. But he gave him that, but he didn't give him the choice, like how he gave us. And that made him jealous.
Exactly. Yes.
So this has to be revealed to you. You have to be.
Right.
Go ahead, man.
That's right.
Go ahead, man.
Right.
We about to have to wrap it up here.
That's what. That's what prompted him to do what he did in the Garden of Eden, in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. See, that's why I said that it was always his intention to get back at God because of the way that he had created man. You know what I'm saying? That there was no other creation of God like the creation of man. Because all of God's creation, man was the only one that God actually used a part of himself to make and be of and be in. You see what I'm saying? Even his celestial creation, when God created his celestial realm in the third heavens, when I said his kingdom, that when he made angels or created angels, they all came from out of him, but was none of them made in the image or likeness of him.
Stop real quick, Pops.
Everything
Stop real quick, Pops. Do y'all understand what that means? Y'all understand that, man? That's how powerful that is, man. Put a 1 in the chat if you over, in, or out, or understand how powerful that is. That's why Yeshua was be able to say with so much confidence, "Get thee behind me, Satan."
And like you said, son, once we as men, once we wake up to the reality of really knowing what Lucifer, now Satan the devil, is and what he's about, we'll look at him and we'll laugh at him. That's
Laugh.
scripture, you know.
Laugh.
As it mentioned in Revelation, you know, that he said, woe unto those inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has been thrown and cast down thereto with you. He dwells among y'all. All right. Now, what do we mean by he dwells among us?
Talk to him.
First of all, it is because it was us who he used, which was through the woman back in the garden when all this happened. Second of all, once God kicked him out of the spirit realm and created his own spirit realm for him to dwell in, a being of darkness, then that puts him in between not being able to get back into the kingdom of God and trapped in his realm. And the only thing below that he can move and manifest back in is the realm that we live in. Okay? Because that made him a part of us, or being a part of us, and then because we have his reptilian nature in us too. Y'all listen? So he do have just rights to do what he does to us, okay? Because a part of him is in us. His DNA is in us. He made that happen through the garden.
When he
That's why he has so much to do with us.
When he mendenhalled Eve from the bike.
Do you understand that, man?
Oh, stop, Pop. Stop.
That's why he has so much to do with us.
Raw. Listen. Mendenhall Eve from the bike. Raw. What was the name of the show on Thursday?
What show?
Thursday's show for last Thursday. This Thursday was late night, and the topic of the show, Pops, was why do women love it raw?
Oh, okay, yeah, I seen that. Yeah, I saw it. I didn't get into it, but I seen it. Yeah.
And this is why.
Right.
What happened to Eve in the garden? Now, mind y'all, like my pop said, if y'all caught it, and this is why I say this is the Baphomet agenda. This is the twofold reptilian, shapeshifter, chameleon aspect nature of Lucifer, Satan, the devil, when he became the serpent. Right? Eve was mendenhalled by Lucifer, Satan, the devil, in the form of the serpent.
Yeah.
At the same time, Adam was violated by the woman in the form of Lilith.
Yeah.
Do you understand that, man? Do you understand that? You understand why LSD soft ass has so much disdain for us and can't ever get to us, can only get through to us. Do you understand how powerful that is, man?
That's right.
Look what is being used to get through to us.
That's right.
Very same thing, all from the beginning, right on to this day.
To this day.
So with that being said, the only way we're going to ever get things back to how it was is proper structure and order.
Yeah.
God, man, woman, child.
Right.
Now,
that's right.
Now think about this, Pops, and we're going to end on this. What drastic measures was the Most High willing to go to in order to correct the creation when they got way out of whack?
Flooded it out, started all over again.
What else?
That's what that's what he did, and to
what else, Pop?
Give man back his dominion and put him back in charge of everything what he was in charge of before all this came about.
But it happened again and again and again, right? Numerous times the Most High have exacted his wrath upon the world.
Right.
Now think about this in connection to what the architect was telling Neo about the different versions of the Matrix. He told him, I've survived you, and I survived your predecessors, and I'll survive you.
Right.
Think about that, man.
Yeah.
Right? So are we going to just keep going in this cycle, just repeating the circle of iron? Are we just going to keep repeating this over and over and over? And then think about this. How many times do you think the Most High is going to allow this to continue?
Right.
Or he decides to just be by himself again?
Right.
Have you thought about that, have y'all?
Right.
Dad, have you thought about that? Be honest.
Yes, I have. That's why I said that there's a scripture that says to the point that it's there to happen. That's why it was my reason why my cry out to men today was and is to what the scripture says, that now is the time. It now is the time. But see, this is what is waiting to happen. Creation. All of creation is waiting, moaning and groaning and waiting, not saying hopefully, but waiting for the manifestations of the sons of God to manifest themselves. It's time for us to start coming forward because we're here in the earth. The sons of God are here in the earth.
Right.
See, God always called those things to be as though they were not. You know, so it's not like that it never happened that we're not here. We are here. It's time for us to step up and start manifesting ourselves. Creation even know that we're here. Huh? Creation know that we are here. They're moaning and they're groaning in pain and travailing, waiting for us to manifest themselves, to step up to the plate and start claiming our dominion and using our power and authority that we have as being men, the sons of God. All right. Now you still have to go through the whole cycle of getting into Christ. All right. See, because this is what it's referring to when it says the sons of God, is that once we go through salvation and get saved and give our lives to Christ and get where we were supposed to be back in the beginning with God, then creation is waiting for us to manifest. Then it's time for us to start manifesting ourselves in the earth and taking back and putting things back in place, in its proper place.
Right.
We're the only ones that's going to do it. That's the only way it's going to happen. That's why my cry was out to men today. This night, this podcast is for us men to start coming back to where we're supposed to be at in our rightful place. And for those who hear my voice, they know who I'm talking about and they know what I'm talking about. All right. So once it's out there and once it's said, then it's going to do what it's supposed to do to who it's supposed to do it to. All right.
We're going to make it do what it do, man.
See? And it's time for men to start coming back to God, their creator. The same fellowship that Adam had with God in the beginning. That's where God wants men today to be and get back to. Whatever that's supposed to take. You know what it is, man.
Yes, sir.
Man and God was in right fellowship with one another. God is a spirit. Man was made to become spirit. Flesh was become spirit. I ain't saying what you was in the beginning. You were spirit already.
Right.
Because you come from God. God made everything. Everything come up out of him.
Don't ever forget, we are the only things out of the creation that was literally created in the image and likeness of God himself. Nothing else. Not Lucifer, not none of the cherubims, not none of the seraphims, not none of the holy court. Man, understand how powerful that is.
And not only that, but Jesus Christ put the icing on the cake of knowing and letting us men know who we are as being spirit and being part of God and being also in God. is what Jesus Christ came and did, representing himself in flesh to tie the two together. So there's no confusion about men knowing who they supposed to be and what they supposed to be and what they supposed to be doing. All right. If men still thinking of being out here enjoying their flesh, getting high, having sex, doing all this old worldly, fleshly stuff, if that's what man think that's his only calling is, then you'll live that life until you leave up out of here one way or the other. But for those that who know who they are spiritually and know who you are as a spirit, those are the ones that God is saying it's time to wake up and come out and manifest yourselves and wrap up all this madness that's been going on. Because that's who God wants to use and going to use to do it through. You got to know your spiritual roots. That's what our whole podcast is about. Men, know your spiritual roots. We're not talking about religious roots. We're not talking about Christianity. We're not talking about the system of man.
Don't get it confused.
If you don't have a real serious fellowship and a relationship and a connection with God, the Almighty, the living God, men start seeking that and start looking for that and start looking into that. That's what you need to be doing, getting back to your spiritual roots as who you are and relating yourself and connecting yourself to the relationship God had with Adam in the garden. Back in the very beginning, before all this madness and before the fall took place. Know who and what your place is and what you were and who you are in God at that point. And not just looking at the way things are right now, because we're more than just what we think we are right now. Okay? We done lost so much out of control and perspective and our role in who and what we are. We are so far off the scale with it, man. And it's time for you to wake up and get back into that zone of knowing who and what you are. That's why this world is so crazy and out of chaos and messed up. Waiting for us to put it back together. That's what inspired me to do this podcast tonight about men. To understand of letting men know more who and what they are as being men. You know, we're more than just flesh and blood. We're more than just seed barriers. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot to us than what we just think or being taught wrongly of who we are. It's time to really know who we are, all right? And I just hope that what me and my son shared tonight with you all will do something for you, open up your eyes in a more spiritual way, give you the encouragement and the strength to want to go on. Go ahead, son.
Yeah, I just was saying, you know, tonight was powerful, man. You know what I mean? I'm always fortunate and thankful to get the revelation I get, but tonight just was confirmation for a lot of information for me, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, things. And it's like I say, man, the prodigal son always returns to the father, man. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing. I want y'all to understand and respect how powerful this is. You hear me? On the many levels that it is. Well, one level is powerful because y'all got two guys here breaking these things down and without no disrespect in layman's terms for you, to help you get a better over and out understanding of these things. Not only that, right, in the process of doing that, healing the trauma between me and my father. It's beautiful, right? Not and outside of that, individually, right? Me as a man and my father as a man, realizing, remembering, right?
Yes.
Order and the actual power that you have. That's just powerful. It's just like I said, it's reinvigorating, it's reassuring, reaffirming, right? And it should just be motivation for you as the man, man. Rest in the essence to Sinful Peace. Sinful used to speak on this a lot too. Deep is the man. Before God created anything else, he created man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Created man first before he created anything man could be. Right?
Right.
This is why I say no matter what you do, you a man first, or be a man first. Because that's what you was created to be in the beginning anyway. Right? Just be a man about it. Right?
Right.
So, man, thank y'all for coming out, Pops, man. You got anything you want to say before we get up out of here, man?
Yeah, I just want to wish my YouTube family a good evening, a blessed week coming ahead. The things that were shared tonight, that it take root in your spirit and in your heart, and that it'll do some good to you, help you to make you a better person, speaking to men out there, that it'll make you a better man. It'll help you to step up to the plate and recognize more who you are as a man, and do what you need to do as being a man, and let us do together what God intended for us to do. He knew that it was going to all go a war like it has, but he also know the outcome of what things going to be. So the faith that God has in his man that he created, I also have in my brother man, that I have the same faith that God has in them, that we will come forth, all of us, or the rest of us, and do what we need to do, And until another week of spiritual podcast, I just wish the best for you all in the weeks to come and in the days to come, and be good, love one another, and I love you, you too, family, and I love you, my son, and I'm out.
You already know, Pops. You already know, man. I love you too, man. I holler at you behind the scenes, and you enjoy the rest of your evening, brother.
All right, you too, son. You too, you too, family. Love you all.
Right.
Good night.
And y'all already know what it is, man. Another powerful episode of Spiritual Roots Sundays. I got to get up out of here. We got to go. Love y'all to death. You understand what I'm saying? Click on the bell, subscribe to the page, smash that like button, share on your social engineering. You already know, man. Shout out to my brother Little Flip for making this song, man. Listen, man. Proper structure and order, brothers. Take back that which was given to you, man. Yes, take. Yes, take. It was yours. It has been yours all along anyway. So it ain't like when you use the word take, it has negative connotations. It's actually very fitting. Actually, it's what you've been given the dominion to do. So do it. All right? Let's do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. And we're going to do it like we used to it. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to Little Flip for making this song, y'all. To see y'all tomorrow night. We going in. You hear me? We going in tomorrow night. You understand me? We're going to be goddamn discussing. I'm about to pull it up for y'all right now, right? Tomorrow night, we will be discussing my brother Gary Webb, man. Y'all see the thumbnail tomorrow. Using the lamestream media to destroy the media. That's what we're going to be discussing tomorrow, y'all, man. Tap in, walk with us tomorrow at 7 p.m. We going in. You did. Hey, man, tonight was powerful, y'all. I hope y'all respect and realize how powerful tonight's teaching was, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all evening, man. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. We're going in, discussing the lamestream media and destroying the media.